Hey, what's going on? I haven't uploaded in a while, but I feel like this is pretty cool, so I kinda wanted to share it. This warlock loadout gives infinite health, grenades, and supers using only glaives, mods, and voidwalker. So here's the exotic you'll need for the loadout. The way it works is that every melee gives a huge burst of health and triggers a long period of quick regen. Now a couple months ago, this wouldn't work with glaive melees, but they recently changed it so that it does. You can use any glaive you want with this loadout. I just use Lubre's Ruin because I kind of think it looks cool. You will need to be using Void for this loadout. While the abilities don't matter, the aspects and fragments do. I use Feed the Void and Chaos Accelerant. But for the purpose of this video, I am going to change to Child of the Old Gods. Now the reason I did that is because if you use Chaos Accelerant, it only gives you one extra fragment slot, while Child of the Old Gods gives you two. You can put whatever you want for the fourth fragment slot that you get with Child of the Old Gods, but these three are what matter the most. Echo of Reprisal gives you super energy every time you get a final blow while surrounded by combatants. Echo of Starvation picks up an orb of power and you get Devour. And for Echo of Exchange, which is very important for this loadout, melee final blows grant grenade energy. Also, I changed my mind, I'm going back to Chaos Accelerant. I do not need the fourth slot. Now for your helmet mods, anything in this slot will do, but you really need Energy Converter. It gives you more stacks of Charge with Light, and every time you use your grenade, it grants you super energy, consuming all the stacks, giving you a maximum of 50%. For gloves, I'm going to use Supercharged, which just gives you 2 extra stacks of Charge with Light. For chest, I'm going to use Taking Charge, and it gives you a stack of Charge with Light every time you pick up an orb of power. Supercharged again for the boots, and Shield Break Charge for the bond. Now that you have all that loadout equipped, I'm going to show you how to use it well. This loadout is great for PvE, especially for people who die a ton in raids, nightfalls, etc., and you just need to have constant health regen. Glaives have gotten numerous buffs since their release, and it's just seemed to make them a lot more useful in more scenarios than they used to be. The mods I'm using for my glaive are Grave Robber, Swashbuckler, and Soul Drinker. Grave Robber reloads the magazine every time you get a melee kill, and Swashbuckler, you get more damage every time you get a kill, or melee final blows stack it to ×5 instantly. Now to show you the true power of this loadout, I'm going to show you the entire unedited carnage that occurs uninterrupted by death in this loadout. Let's start off always by going with some weak troop that can be taken down by one melee glaive. As you can see, my health is not depleting whatsoever. I take down an ogre in 3 hits due to the Swashbuckler on it, and everything goes down so much quicker because of that perk as well. Now if I shoot, all I have to do is get one thing killed with the melee, and it reloads that entire thing. Now while this isn't the best example of how it regens super a lot, it still does show, like, watch this. Let's see how long it takes for me to get this super back. Because as you can see, every time I get a melee surrounded by these enemies, it goes up by a pretty noticeable amount. I'm gonna get this plate, and then I'll come back to you in a bit. Alright, so a lot of enemies have spawned in. Let's see how much super I'm able to get in just this little burst of enemies. Now again, that wasn't an insane amount, but once you're completely surrounded by enemies and taking them down left, right, and center, it does stack up quite quickly. this loadout is the range that the Glaive melee gives. Now, while it is useful in some like specific scenarios, those scenarios it's extremely useful in, because if you're jumping up somewhere and you need to get somewhere quick, the Glaive dive gets you there nice and easy, and if it has a lot of health, then you just get a better chance of staying up there. Now right there you can see the super jumped up a pretty noticeable amount due to the fact I was completely surrounded by enemies. And due to the numerous clubs that Glaives have gotten recently, I'm going to be able to shred this boss in no time whatsoever with just the melee weapon. And there, the boss sector is done completely because of how easily that boss went down, mostly because of the swashbuckler on this Glaive. Now while I don't discourage PvP usage of this loadout, I don't entirely encourage it, because Glaives aren't really incredible for PvP due to the special ammo economy and just the fact that they're mostly a short-ranged weapon, while most people use long-range weapons like snipers, scout rifles, all that. This loadout can also get better or worse depending on the season that it's in, because, for example, in Season 1 of the Witch Queen expansion, there was the seasonal mod that gave Glaives the Unstoppable modifier. So any melee or charge shot from a Glaive would stun an unstoppable opponent, and any powerful opponent, it would knock back a little bit. So say I'm going against a really tough yellow bar, I don't even have to really pay much attention if I'm just clicking the melee button over and over again, because it's constantly getting stunned. Now I haven't really showcased the charge with light portion of this loadout very much, but that's because I'm not in a spot where shielded enemies have a lot of, you know, solar elements. So that is a factor that depends. If you're doing nightfalls, it's a great addition to this loadout. Another example, watch how easily I went up this boss opponent. That was like, what, 6 melees after I took one charge shot at it? Alright, that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. If you want to, use this loadout, because for people like me that sometimes struggle with dying a lot, this loadout absolutely kills anything I need to go against while keeping me perfectly fine.